This might be the most consequential new card we've seen in a long time. Today we're looking at the brand new Atmos Rewards Summit Visa Infinite Credit Card. For a lot of people, this is going to be a new S tier card. At the same time, there's probably a 2 or 3 year window of opportunity before we see a nerf. Big favor before we dive into everything though is to give us a thumbs up to help the algorithm. If you know someone that might benefit, then share this with them. Starting with the basics, this card is not going to be for everyone. It is on the premium side and it has a $3.95 annual fee. Unlike a lot of other premium cards, the benefits are a lot less liquid. To me, there's 2 big ones. The first one is 8x Alaska Lounge passes that you get annually, and it's going to be 2 per quarter. You're going to get these at the start of each quarter and they expire at the end of the quarter. Note that each pass gets 1 cardholder in and up to 2 children under 21. If you are 2 adults though, then you're going to need 2 passes. Also, this is only for Alaska lounges and not partner ones. On the top end, and this is very debatable, the value would be about $65 per visit because that's what they charge. I'd be very careful though, depending on your home airport. Also, whether you're eating a lot or drinking in the lounges. For example, the one in SFO has a lot of fanfare, and Gen Zs and millennials have been happy to pay to get in. It's also gotten pretty strong acclaim from even chefs, given the menu. So for a good lounge, I'd probably happily pay $25 to $30, and maybe a bit more if it's very good food. For other ones though, for example the current Portland one, I'd probably only pay $10, maybe $20 at most. On your end, you need to figure out what you would pay, and then your expected visits, given the quarterly constraints. The absolute best case would be 65 times 8, so 520 in value. Middle case would be 30 times 8, so 240, and then low but non-zero use case would be 30 times 4, so half the visits, for about 120 in value. If you don't fly Alaska often, then it might even be lower. On the flip side, if you fly very often with them, for example if you're a consultant, then you probably already have a pass, so additional ones don't really matter. The other tangible benefit that you get with the current intro bonus, and also every account anniversary, is the annual 25k Global Companion Award. This is worth up to 25k points off for a published award ticket. It only does work when you book yourself with a companion though, so if you don't have a player too, then it might be a bit tougher. Otherwise, it's pretty easy to value as long as you're not doing short haul flights, and it's effectively that 25k number. Depending on how you plan to use the points, you do have different implied values, but the general floor value is 1 cent per point for flights. Normally though, you should be able to get 1.4 to 1.5 for economy, and then maybe 2 and up for strategic use cases. For example, Hawaii during off-peak. For first and business of partners, it's generally 5 and up, but I like to use 2 as kind of a ceiling. Maybe 3 if you're more aggressive and your would pay number is higher. For example, Mandy and I have happily bought miles close to 2 cents per point in the past during promos. 160k divided by 2900 is 1.85 cents per mile. The reason we are willing to pay that is because it's still one of the cheapest, non-mistake fare ways to fly first in business. For example, that's how we flew Japan Airlines first class from SFO to Tokyo. Also how we booked Starlux business from Taipei to San Francisco for a different trip. My mental number is 2, but adjust up and down as needed. Worst case at 1 cent per point, 25k, would be 250 in value. The middling case at 1.5 cents per point would be 375 in value, and then the upper case at 2 cents per point would be 500 in value. If you're into premium travel and you buy miles anyways when there's sales, then this perk covers the annual fee, and you actually are getting value. It's a keeper card. With these in mind, you can pretty much make a matrix of these 2 key perks. So on the low end, you're still at 250, top end, probably 1,000, and middle number is about 615. Yeah, basically you need to figure out whether this beats the $3.95 annual fee for your situation. There are more benefits that we'll get into in the middle, but they feel a bit more iffy. Okay, that sounds great, but it's just a keeper card. There's a lot of other keeper cards. Why might this be broken? A lot of this lies in the multipliers. 2 of the 3 elevated multipliers are pretty generic. You get 3x on Alaska and Hawaiian flights, and also 3x on dining worldwide. The game changer here is that they pretty much made a new category that didn't previously exist with US cards. You're getting 3x on all foreign purchases, so ones processed outside of the US are billed in a foreign currency. The card also has no foreign transaction fees, so that's not a risk. Note that you can't double dip, so if you go to a restaurant in Paris, you're not getting 6x, you're only getting 3x. From my understanding, the only other card that offers something similar is the HSBC Premier, and that's in the UK, and the economics of the card is a lot worse. Using it the intended way, it's not for flights because that's already covered with other multipliers, same thing with hotels, same thing with food. Miscellaneous is nice, but probably doesn't add up to enough. If you buy premium goods when you travel though, then it definitely can add up. For example, let's say you're looking at watches and you're trying to buy a Grand Seiko in Japan that might cost you $4,000 and it's tax-free. The same exact watch, but in the US, might be $6,000 before taxes. That's also before considering if you're deal savvy, for example, stacking department store discounts, or if you're buying used. If you have an expensive player too, then very similar case with handbags. Usually you have better availability, lower sticker price, and then the VAT refund, a lower net number. If you're super expensive and balling out, then it might be cheaper to visit Paris than buying in the US. In that situation, you're getting the same item, but at a cheaper price, and a vacation out of it. So that's the intended way. For other people, it might be the equivalent of a new element or new opportunity being created. For example, if you're a business owner, specifically dropshipping, or you do a lot of international group buys, then this might be one of the most broken cards out there. I would be careful off the bat, especially with buying groups, given shutdowns of other issuers in the past, but the opportunity's still there. If anything, I feel like this is the main risk of a nerf. Also, for anyone that's remote, let's say you live abroad for some of the year, or for the whole year, then this can be pretty useful. You do have to spend enough given the other perks are very Alaska focused, but it might still make sense as a one and done card for those high spenders. Another example might be snowbirds on the West Coast. But yeah, if none of these apply, if you don't buy luxury goods abroad, if you don't do any of this stuff, then the multiplier here might not matter. The card can still make sense for other reasons, but you have to be getting more value from those other benefits. If none of this sounds exciting, I'd probably go for the more mainstream cards. Just because a card works for one system doesn't mean it works for yours. On a side note, if you want to learn more about cards, we have links on the website, asksabi.com, and also down below in the description box. Make sure the links are competitive, that they make sense for you, but otherwise it's a huge way to support the channel, so thank you in advance. Outside of what we covered, there are less tangible benefits that can still be useful. The value here might be very high, but it might also be zero. One that I really like and that I'm kind of surprised to see is a same-day change fee waiver. Depending on where you're flying in the region, this can be worth $25 and up to $50. This is per flight and you can use it multiple times. This is great for deal seekers and people that want flexibility. For example, let's say I want to fly from SFO to Seattle this weekend. The two cheapest options right now are Alaska at 9 p.m. and then Delta at pretty much 6 a.m. Those two are both $174. Let's say I didn't want to get there that early or that late and I want to find a different flight with Alaska. For example, leaving at 8 a.m. and getting there at 10:15. Or maybe leaving at 2:42 and getting there at 5 p.m. That would otherwise run me $294 or $339. With that same day change, it means I can switch to those other flights without paying a fee, but there does have to be availability on that flight. But yeah, super useful if you are looking for cheaper flights and you want to swap to more ideal times. This is one of the key reasons why a lot of people chase baseline elite status. This benefit's also very useful for more fluid travelers who want optionality without the additional cost. For example, if you go to Vegas for the weekend and maybe you want to turn that 5 p.m. flight into a 10 p.m. one. Or maybe you lose and you want to leave in the morning because you're sick of Vegas. In the US, this is the only card that gets you this type of perk. With all the other airlines, given how things are currently structured, you can't get this unless you earn status. You can get the card, spend a ton on the card to get status, but you don't get the benefit by virtue of having the card. Another perk is the $50 instant travel delay credit for flight cancellations or departures of 2 hours or more. There are a lot of terms here, but it feels pretty fair. As long as you're flying their airlines, this is industry leading. The next best bet is going to be 6 hours, but that does offer a bit more coverage and upside. I think one of the reasons why they're willing to offer this though is given their stats. They hold 2 of the top 3 spots, with Hawaiian at 12.9% for flight delays and Alaska at 22.4%. Delta is the only one that's on the podium with 22.2%. So it's a good perk to have, but by the numbers and the stats, it might not matter. Or it might not pay out as much as you'd like. Moving to the next perk, you can also share points with no cost. If you have a family, this is awesome. Normally without a card, you're looking at a cost of $10 per 1,000 miles and a $25 processing fee. Call me crazy, but that sounds pretty crazy. This benefit makes point pooling actually possible. Another benefit that might be useful for frequent flyers is upgrade priority on Alaska and Hawaiian. So this is the upgrade list for their network. Status is first, and that's the key one, and then million miler status, and then your Atmos card if you have it, and then everything else. For example, time of booking. If you don't have status, then it might not matter. The main idea though is that if you and someone else both have Atmos Gold, then you would come out ahead if you have the card. It definitely is more geared towards frequent travelers, but it might be useful if you want that edge for your status. Speaking of status, you also get a status boost with the card just by holding it. It's going to be 10k per year, but note that these are towards status and not redeemable points. This would be half the way to Atmos Silver and then a quarter of the way to Atmos Gold, so not bad at all. Status is kind of a giant rabbit hole, and I typically cover that on the business channel Ask Savvy Business, so keep an eye out if you are interested. Or consider subscribing since I'm almost at 15k subs over there. The main idea though is that you can earn Atmos rewards with your spend. But yeah, very much depends on your volume and opportunity cost. If you are a very big spender and can hit 60k or more in an anniversary year, you can get a global 100k companion certificate that works the same way as the other one, but you still need a player too, and there's a lot more value here. So if you think about it, this is literally a one-way first class flight, which is kind of crazy, or potentially 2 business class ones, depending on routing. I don't think I'd chase this in and of itself, but if you already are doing that other spend, whether for work or luxury goods or buying groups, this is a nice cherry on top. If you do have a ton of points that you're redeeming, you can save $12.50 for each partner flight redemption. For premium fares, it probably is immaterial unless you travel a crazy amount, and even I don't travel that much to care. One use case though would be short-haul American airline bookings, where this can add up, especially if you redeem a ton. So these are definitely situational, but can be pretty powerful. Finishing off, we have some Fringe ones and the standard airline ones. I am going to speedrun these, so feel free to pause. Starting with Fringe, you get 2 complimentary signature cocktails when you visit their lounges. This is through 2026, and I'm kind of curious what's happening afterwards. You can also transfer points to partners. My understanding is that it's going to stay as hotels, but they also don't seem that interesting. So for example, IHG is terrible value, Marriott is generally not good other than situationally, Wyndham might make sense, but that's more of a different experience. Preferred hotels I don't have enough experience with, and then Shangri-La is just bad value. If you are focused on upside, this probably doesn't make any sense. Another kind of weird one is that you get Alaska Wi-Fi passes, but this might also not be useful in a few months. Main reason being that starting 2026, they are rolling out Starlink to their members for free. So pretty much anyone that has even a base account will get free Starlink on some of their flights as they expand their fleet. This kind of feels like a stopgap solution, but also just a weird one. Moving to the super standard ones, you have free checked bags for you and up to 6 guests in the same reservation. You also get preferred boarding for you and the same 6 guests, and it's Group C here after elite members and first and premium tickets. Not too bad though if you want to guarantee overhead space. You also get discounts on onboard stuff like food, beverage, and Wi-Fi. Outside of buying keepsakes that are interesting, for example this keychain one that unbuckles like an airplane seat, I don't really buy things on flights. In case you're wondering, this is a Starlux one. You also get up to 120 in statement credits for global entry or TSA PreCheck every 4 years. Overall, I think this is an S tier card, given its potential to be overpowered for some people and be pretty broken. At the same time, just because it has that potential doesn't mean that it's a fit for everyone. End of the day, find cards that work for you and your situation and how you use them. Just because I like beef and Wagyu beef is amazing and delicious, if you don't like beef, then it doesn't matter. Again, if you want to learn more about cards, we have links on the website, asksavvy.com, and also down below in the description box. If you made it to this point, leave a steak emoji in the comments down below, and I'll try to heart it and also respond. 3 questions. Number 1, what are your thoughts on the card, and does it fit your situation? Number 2, what's your favorite perk or features, and also least valuable ones? Number 3, do you think they'll end up nerfing the 3x international category, or do you think that's going to stick around long term? Let me know and everyone else know in the comments down below. Big favorite, thumbs up, share this, otherwise hope you liked it. See you next time.